If it's not the new moon, if it's not the moon, as we're saying, causing this solar eclipse, then what could it be? If we go down through history, in the 1800s, a man named Samuel B. Robotham, he was an English inventor, an author who wrote a book called Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, under the pseudonym Parallax. And in what he writes in the chapter that he has on solar eclipses, he writes that in the report of the Council of the Royal Astronomical Society for June 1850, it is said we may well doubt whether that body, which we call the moon, is the only satellite of the Earth. And then again, he writes in the report of the Academy of Sciences for October 12th, 1846, and again, August 1847, the director of one of the French observatories gives a number of observations and calculations which have led him to conclude that there is at least one non-luminous body of considerable magnitude, which is attached as a satellite to this Earth, a non-luminous body, Sean.
That's
and then
amazing.
Again, Sir John Lubbock is of the same opinion. Robotham writes, Sir John Lubbock gives rules and formulae for calculating their distances, periods, etc. The distances of a non-luminous body, these satellites of Earth. And he gives citations for all of them. But then he also goes on to write about a few other guys that he's collected this information from the astronomers of his time. I think he said something to the effect that so many of the major prominent astronomers in the 17 and 1800s were known to be talking about these dark orbs, these dark moons. Could you go to the next one?
Yeah, what's really fascinating is this guy was 17 in this picture too. They just aged different back then. I mean, it was a I'm just playing. He was probably only like 35 in that picture.
What does this guy say?
So this is Sir John Frederick William Herschel, an English astronomer, photographer, and inventor of the blueprints. Sir John Herschel admits that invisible moons exist in the firmament, and this is quoted in Robotham's Zetetic Astronomy in 1881.
That's right.
Yeah.
The inventor of the blueprint. He was talking about invisible moons in the firmament. Johann Heinrich Lambert, a famous Swiss Frenchman in the 1700s, he made important contributions to the subjects of mathematics, physics, optics, astronomy, and map projections, right? And Johann Lambert, according to Robotham again, he said Lambert in his cosmological letters admits the existence of dark cosmological bodies of great size.
Great size, not small, not little asteroids or comets that reoccur, but great size.
Not the spherical crafts that the Pentagon and the DoD have been talking about lately. We're going to look at those too, just to show you guys there are flying spheres that the governments are admitting happens right, or that we're seeing right now. Also, if we go back even a little further in the 2nd century, 3rd century AD, Origen Adamantius. Origen is famous for being an early Christian scholar, theologian, and apologist from Alexandria, quote unquote early church figure. And he says the belief in the existence of non-luminous stars was prevalent in Grecian antiquity, and especially in the early times of Christianity. It was assumed that among the fiery stars which are nourished by vapors, there move other earthly bodies which remain invisible to us. Origen Adamantius. I like his last name. Reminds me of Wolverine.
I was going to say his words are sharp like adamantium.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great quote because, how hilarious it is to me that he's like in early times of Christianity, and here he is like 200 years after Christ. And we're like 2,000 years, right? So it's just funny, his perspective of like, yeah, I mean, even 200 years ago, there's Christians believe this as well. Like,
yeah, that was early Christianity for him. We're right. Like, aren't you still in it? No?
Right. We think he's early Christianity. It's funny.
It's exactly. Funny. But flying spheres are here, as I was just mentioning. Man, I was not even aware. The Pentagon, the DoD, they've been having meetings, and they've actually just had the first public meeting on the UFOs, or UAPs as they're calling them now. I'd like to play this clip and show you guys what they're talking about, because they're just coming out on record and saying it and showing it even.
The sphere represents the greatest mystery ever encountered by the human race.
Without sufficient data, we are unable to reach defendable conclusions that meet the high scientific standards we set for resolution. Meanwhile, for the few objects that do demonstrate potentially anomalous characteristics, AARO is approaching these cases with the highest level of objectivity and analytic rigor. This is an example of one that I showed at the hearing recently. This is a spherical orb, metallic, in the Middle East, 2022, by an MQ-9. This is a typical example of the thing that we see most of. We see these all over the world, and we see these in making very interesting apparent maneuvers. This one in particular, however, I would point out, demonstrated no enigmatic technical capabilities and was no threat to airborne safety. While we are still looking at it, I don't have any more data other than that.
A newly released video recorded by the U.S. Navy personnel 2 years ago shows an unknown sphere that followed a Navy warship before disappearing into the ocean.
The video provides the latest glimpse into an ongoing Pentagon investigation into UFOs.
Over a period of several days in July 2019, at least 5 U.S. Navy warships based in San Diego were swarmed by drone-like objects of unknown origin. One of those ships, the USS Omaha, was on maneuvers more than 100 miles directly west of San Diego and beyond the Channel Islands. One of the Omaha's central missions is surveillance, so it's packed with cutting-edge technology and sensors. But it appears the Omaha was itself under surveillance.
Took off. Okay.
The image on the screen shows a 6-foot in diameter sphere that traveled alongside the Omaha for about an hour. It was pitch black outside, so the image was obtained via a thermal sensor. At precisely 11 p.m., the unidentified sphere seemingly vanished into the ocean.
Splashed.
This object went into the water, or they suspect it did. And
Filmmaker Jeremy Corbell obtained the video from sources he declines to identify. In April, Corbell and Mystery Wire released a series of other startling images that are included in a briefing presentation prepared by the UAP Task Force, a unit created by Congress last year to collect UFO-related images and information for a comprehensive report due next month. One image from the UAP Task Force is a freeze-frame slide of the sphere seen beside the Omaha. The Pentagon has confirmed that image was captured by Navy personnel. Corbell says as many as 14 of the spheres surrounded the Omaha and were detected on sensors on and off during 3 perplexing days at sea. The Omaha's advanced sensors could not maintain a lock on the spheres as they approached the ship or when they departed.
Mark bearing and range.
Voices on the video confirm the Omaha launched an immediate search using all of its high-tech resources, but when the sphere vanished from the screen, it also vanished from the Omaha's radar and sonar. No wreckage was found on the surface. The UAP Task Force briefing is a classified document, but the images contained in that briefing are not classified. That distinction was made so the task force could use images like this to brief other military and intelligence officials about the UFO mystery. Simply put, the Navy does not know what these things are. They are still considered to be unknown.
The Russian news outlet Pivyet Rostov carried the headline that said a UFO in the form of a ball was shot down in the sky.
Look at this UFO, dude. This is crazy. It's sitting here spinning. Port Orange, Florida. Daytona Beach, Florida. It's an orb ball spinning right above.
Someone's behind me. I gotta go.
Oh, there's the moon. What in the Sam hell is that? What the
UFO spotted in Las Vegas,
so,
NV.
Not entirely sure what this is. I pulled over to the side of the road because I noticed that thing in the air. I can try to zoom in on it as best as I can, but yeah, it's not really clear what it is. It's not moving. It's kind of like suspended in midair. There is no string at all. There's no string underneath it. That's not a balloon. I don't know what that is. And this thing is literally hovering above this community. Just like a black ball of something. I don't know what it is.
Let's do this. So that dot you see right there, that's called a lens flare. It moves, right? It moves because it's a lens flare from the camera, from the sun bouncing off the lens. It moves, right? Okay. Let's do this. That does not move, even when I move my camera inside, it doesn't move. See, you can see that lens flare right there. Why is there something there by the sun that we can't see? What is it? What is it? Suspicious. There's also something right near the sun, too. See? One there. One there. Not lens flare because it does not move.
All right, so floating spheres that can fly through the sky are real, apparently. The U.S. government, NASA, the DoD are trying to tell you, the military and the news are telling you about it. And moreover, independent eyewitnesses across the plane of the Earth are recording them on camera, all pointing to the reality of spherical orb-shaped aerial crafts that exist indeed in our skies today. What do you guys think? So when we are going to tell you that there is a floating sphere above the plane of the Earth in the sky underneath the firmament, we're not the only ones, apparently. Now, most of these we just saw were pretty small. But if a smaller orb, a small sized one, can fly and move through our skies, what would stop a much larger one from existing up there as well?